Hey guys, I got a story that was sent to me by one of my subs. Thanks, Obsolete. Appreciate it. Um, this is from the Los Angeles Times. Biden gives PG&E $1 billion to keep Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant open. That's an aerial view, right by the sea, right by the ocean. This should not be here. There's no reason why this should be there in this capacity, right next to the Pacific Ocean. The case for nuclear power as a climate solution got a big boost Monday, which is there is no need for a climate solution because CO2 isn't the issue. The climate changed because of the sun. 100%. Well, it is a large percent of why our climate changed. And it's also the reason why we're headed to a grand solar minimum, which will change our climate back to 1700 levels, temperature wise. Okay. While people are moving north because of the heat wave, this climate global warming nonsense, when the earth is now cooling and it is greening from all the CO2, it's headed the other way, guys. We're going to want to move south, not north. Okay. So a big boost Monday when the Biden administration announced it's giving Pacific Gas and Electric Company a $1.1 billion grant to help the company keep operating California's last nuclear plant. The Diablo Canyon plant is currently scheduled to shut down in 2 phases, with the first reactor going offline in 2024 and the second in 2025. But Governor Gavin Newsom, which is a nuisance, has led a spirited push to keep the reactors humming 5 more years. 5 more years. That's all we get for $1.1 billion is 5 more years from this plant. That's a ridiculous amount of money for 5 years. Okay? If the politicians would get out of the way, there would be no issue with power shortages. The problem is that they keep on pushing certain things and controlling the narrative. Okay? Saying that badly needed to help the Golden State grapple with power shortages and worsening heat waves. It's not worsening heat waves, as this winter is going to show us. The federal money doesn't guarantee Diablo Canyon will stay open longer, but it increases the likelihood of California continuing to rely on the plant along the Central Coast in San Luis Obispo County, despite decades of anti-nuclear activism and public concerns about what would happen if an earthquake erupts along one of the seismic fault lines near the facility. Well, that's not the only issue. If offsite power is cut by some reason, say a tsunami or war like we see in Ukraine, or a flood, or an EMP, or a solar release, or many different possibilities. See, this is the manipulation we're talking about here. PG&E Chief Executive Patty Poppy. Remember that name because she's a chief executive for PG&E. Okay, we need to start paying attention to these people that give out their names. Okay. She noted that the Diablo Canyon supplied more than 8% of California's electricity last year. 8%. Okay. So they're paying $1.1 billion for 8% of their yearly electrical needs, and 17% of the state's climate-friendly, carbon-free electricity, which is not carbon-free because they all release carbon-14. She also said the plant has a strong safety record. Sure. Yeah, they would have never cheated on the exchanges. No. They would have never released pressure into the atmosphere, ever. Sure, okay. It's a good choice for the state of California and for, frankly, the planet. No, it's not. Because of tritium. It's cooled by water. Tritium is being released from this plant. Tritiated water. It's being taken up in the plant life. See all that grass? I guarantee you it's got tritium in it. Okay? It's nonsense. The $1.1 billion in federal money comes from the infrastructure law passed by Congress and signed by President Biden last year. It should allow PG&E to pay back most of the $1.4 billion loan for Diablo that state lawmakers approved at Newsom's urging. Okay? So this is for them to... It should allow PG&E to pay back most of the $1.4 billion loan that the state has already given them. So they're getting federal money to pay off a state loan. Who's the governor? Who represents them in the Senate? Congress? Who is that again? Who has that been for a while? Right. That state money is slated to help PG&E cover the cost of relicensing at the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Do you see where that money flows into the Regulatory Commission? For the relicensing, as well as maintenance, fuel purchasing, okay, while they already are storing the waste on site, and additional on-site storage for radioactive waste needed to keep the plant running past 2025. Final terms of the federal grant still need to be negotiated with PG&E. Officials at the U.S. Department of Energy say the money will be distributed over 4 years, okay? From 2023 through 2026. The funds are designed to cover PG&E's projected losses from keeping Diablo Canyon open longer. Can you guys understand that? The funds are designed to cover PG&E's projected losses from keeping Diablo Canyon open longer. So if the company's operating costs come in lower than expected, or its power sales revenues are higher than expected, it won't get quite as much federal money. Well, bless their hearts. If the plant fails to secure its federal license renewal or any of the state permits it needs to keep operating, the funding spigot will be shut off. So we need to work on that. This is one thing we need to work on, is to make sure they don't get that license renewal or the state permits. We need to work on this. This is a critical step towards ensuring that our domestic nuclear fleet will continue providing reliable and affordable power to Americans as the nation's... It's not affordable power. These companies aren't making money. Don't you guys understand that once they have to decommission these sites, all the money that they made in profits is gone? I mean, this is just nonsense. Thank God San Onofre got shut down. Senator Dianne Feinstein celebrated the announcement, saying in a written statement that the federal investment will allow Diablo Canyon to continue producing carbon-free energy, which it is not carbon-free. The fuel that they got to get, that they mentioned, uses fossil fuel burning equipment to dig it out of the ground. They use chemicals that also use fossil fuels to make, to then to process it into fuel. Then they have to ship it around wherever they need to take it to. From the processing center to Diablo Canyon. Used a fossil fuel truck to get it there. Okay? Giving the state time it needs to bring additional renewable energy sources online and eventually replace the energy produced by the nuclear plant. See? Additional renewable energies. Because nuclear power is not renewable. Feinstein had previously supported PG&E's plan to shutter Diablo in 2025, but she changed her mind this year. I wonder why she changed her mind. Citing the urgency of the climate crisis. There is no climate crisis. What are these people talking about? The IPCC has already been found to be liars. They're peer review nonsense that occurred 20 years ago when Al Gore and all them got together and pushed all this. There is no climate emergency. We went through solar maximum, modern solar maximum from 1950 to the early 2000s. And that's when it changed. The earth is no longer warming, people. The earth is cooling now. This short-term extension is necessary if California is going to meet its ambitious clean energy goals. You see, it's only because of policy. Only because they keep on stating that there's a climate emergency, which is nonsense. Eric Pica, president of Anti-Nuclear Environmental Group, finally we get a mention, Friends of the Earth, described the state of reaction to the federal funding as a premature victory lap. He noted that several state agencies still need to sign off on the nuclear plant's continued operation, as spelled out in the legislation signed by Newsom. Pica suspects the governor is motivated at least in part by political aspirations, although Nuisance, has insisted he won't run for president in 2024. Speculation continues to swirl that he's preparing for a campaign, and the current plan for Diablo to begin shutting down in 2024 is very conspicuously aligned with when the Democratic presidential primary is going to be, Pica said. Newsom doesn't want to see any electric grid reliability issues come up while he's contemplating his future political plans, Pica said. He's doing that at a cost of billions of dollars to California ratepayers in maintaining Diablo. Absolutely. I could not agree more. So let's keep an eye on this. Let's make sure they don't get licensed. Let's make sure that they don't get their permits. And we can get this done. We can still get Diablo Canyon shut down. And we can keep that $1.1 billion of federal money from going to pay off the state, to purchase more fuel, and more nonsense. Okay? More storage for the waste. Okay? It's going to end up like San Onofre. It's got tons of nuclear waste just sitting there while it's being decommissioned. This is all crazy, guys. We gotta step this up. Make sure this Diablo Canyon gets shut down and decommissioned as soon as possible. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.